Here we go, folks. Lindsey Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions back in the building. Henry Ford High School to be exact. Don't be mad. I know you're all about that Southwest life.
No doubt about it.
Not that River Rouge life,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes,
sitting here with the man of the hour, Tarence Wheeler. The man sitting next to the man. I can't say enough in this introduction. If you know him, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you need to get to know him. But we're here today because you're a FOD, a friend of Derrick.
Absolutely.
Right. So what brings you out to celebrate Derrick Coleman's birthday?
Man, me and Derrick go back to we were 13, 14 years ago. Oh, you talking about 36 years of friendship, a brotherhood, man. And I've seen this man dig in his pockets and pay for funerals, pay for light bills, pay for graduation. So there's no way I would miss his birthday. There's no way I would miss celebrating another life with this young brother, man, because he means so much to me. And the things that he represents, I know where he come from, I know where he's been, I know where he's going. So I'm always going to support him 100%, man. I know the real Derrick Coleman, and I love him, man, to death. And I know that he's made an indelible impact on his community, on his friends, and it stretches you to give more, of yourself. Because it's one thing to give some money, it's another thing to give time.
Right.
Because time is really your biggest asset, but what we waste the most.
Right.
If you put 2, 3, 4 hours into a kid's life, man, you could change the direction.
Right about
the course of where they're going by showing and exposing them to something different. It's easy to write a check, but it's hard to get there and sit down and figure out what's the trauma. Is it acute trauma? Is it chronic trauma? What are you going through? And to build that relationship.
Right.
It's the problem in our country is not rules. It's rules minus relationship that equals rebellion.
Rules minus the relationship.
Yeah, you gotta have a relationship with young people.
Do what I say to do, but there's no relationship.
You gotta have a relationship. I gotta get to know you, man. If I know you, I can serve you better. If I know you, you will trust me with the important information to be able to help change your course of life, man. Had it not been for Perry Watson, for Brother Ernest, things would be different for myself.
Right.
And so I know the importance of black men being present, even when it's not your biological son.
Right. Right.
And so what Derrick represents, man, what Gary represents, anybody that's in our circle is about giving back. Man.
It's been about that. I think back to when we met so many years ago at the time with Governor Granholm's staff. You reached out, and what I saw, you guys were representing something that was not typical in athletes. You were really proactive. You were doing your whole thing. There was really no other athletes connected to Detroit at the time that had that kind of presence. What was it like during that time to help get Derrick's name, I shouldn't say out there, but to keep him out there and keep him moving from the golf outings to all the other events? What was it like during that time?
Well, we said, man, I remember when he was towards the end of his career, and I was just moving back to Detroit. And I drove around, I said, big fella, man, what can we do that can change the course of someone else's life?
Right.
We started with, Coach for Kids.
Right.
We knew that could work. Back to school rallies, turkey drive. We started with 200 turkeys. Now we at 5,000 annually.
Right.
And so that that represents something different. When kids are hungry and homeless, they ain't thinking about homework.
No.
So you got to meet their basic needs.
Right.
You meet the basic needs. That kid is coming to school. That kid's gonna listen to you. That kid's gonna respect what you're doing. Because it's not just about talk. Talk is cheap, Lindsey, but the work is expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking.
Say that again. Say it again.
Talk is cheap, but the work is expensive. And see, that trauma that kids go through just to get to one loving, caring adult, it's physiological. It sits in your body.
Sure.
These kids ain't angry, bro. I'm gonna tell you what they are. It's resentful. It's neglect. It's abandonment.
Right.
I resent the fact that you're not in my summer league game.
Yeah.
I resent the fact that you didn't come to my graduation.
Right.
You neglected me. You abandoned me for some other things.
Right.
And so our job is to, when they come to school, how do you love on that kid? How do you love them past their pain? To see that, you know what, the perseverance and the resilience inside of you, money can't buy.
Right.
Money can't buy that. So you may not have the material things that a kid in West Bloomfield or Grosse Pointe has, but what you got is some love. We got some empathy for you. And because we come from that situation, we know exactly what it feels like.
Right.
I know what that pain feels like. I know what it's like not have a relationship with your father, to have a mother on drugs. I know what that personally feels like. So everybody's come from humble beginnings, but what happens, man, is that we get the bag and we don't come back.
Right.
Oh man, you're getting the bag.
Let's play devil's advocate. They talk about Nipsey. They talk about all these things. It could be dangerous in the hood. You talking about coming back to Detroit or whatever. So how do you manage that type of situation?
I think you have to surround yourself with good people.
Okay.
So your people need to. So Sun Tzu says the number one thing is knowing your terrain.
You talking about the art of war?
Art of war. Knowing your terrain. So the people that's around you, because you playing somewhere else, you moving and shaking.
Right.
So it's my job to make sure that when you come into an environment, it's safe. Gary Payton is from Oakland, California.
Yes, he is.
We're right here on 7 Mile Evergreen.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, it's the same. But he don't know these people.
Right.
But because there's a trust factor, I'm riding with you.
To that point, folks, I remember we were at a club. It was after I was getting the day before the golf out, and Gary came with his entourage and limo, and you said, call me when you get in. I mean, you were very adamant. I remember that how many years later you talk about that.
Man, anybody that comes to this city that's a friend of ours, we're going to cover you. Anybody, I don't care who it is, man.
And you got a lot of friends.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends, so I'm going to make sure you straight.
Right.
Same as when I go to your city.
Right.
It's just love.
Right.
How would I have you come to my city and not make sure you good, bro?
Right.
Not have you turn corners in the wrong direction.
Right.
I was fortunate to play overseas with a number of brothers that took care of me and said, hey, T, don't go here, we can go there. Let me accompany you somewhere else.
Right. Right.
It's easy to get lost because your team's familiar.
Of course not.
Because you come from
that. Of course, you get caught up.
But there's some wolves out here.
Right.
There's some wolves.
And if you don't know who's who, you don't know how to get down, whether they're sending this person that.
You have no idea, man. So I'm always saying, man, call me, bro. Text me. Let me know you good.
I do remember that.
To this day.
I see.
I got you, bro.
Right.
I'm not going to let nothing happen to you. Maybe it happened to you, it's going to happen to me.
Right. Sitting here with Tarence Wheeler, true community activist, true statesman, always work. Talk about some of the programs you've worked on. I know a lot of things you're doing, especially for young African-American women. Talk about that.
Man, the female hygiene campaign is so near and dear to my heart, man. I remember seeing a young lady in the hallway crying, and she was on her cycle. And so I said, man, how do we fail to address this issue? So that was 3 years ago.
Right.
3 years to date, we've collected over 5,000 pads and paint liners for young ladies.
Wow.
So now they can go and get those items that they need, and education, more importantly, is not disrupted. Not only that, man, you can take them home.
Right.
For the weekend, for you and your sister, whoever needs it.
Right.
So you're not losing self-esteem, bad body image, you're not getting bullied. Then more importantly, so all those things combined can easily lead to human trafficking, because now you're not in school. Right. Now what happens?
Right.
You done got with some old head. He said, I'm going to take care of you.
Right.
Now we can't get you back.
Right.
So we got to be proactive in meeting the needs of young people, man. They don't need a savior. They need servants.
Right.
Who's going to serve young people? Who's going to stand in the gap for them?
Well, that's not sexy all the time. That's not the big time. That's not,
They worry about they worry about per pupil head count. But you don't ask the kids, why are you willing to get on the bus at 6 o'clock to go to a school district outside of your area? For a reason. Because somebody over there loved me. Somebody over there encouraged me.
Right.
Somebody over there inspired me.
Right.
Anybody that touch kids, you can no longer just like them. You got to love them, man.
Yeah.
You got to love them like they're your own, man. You got to say, listen, I'm not going to let you fail.
Let me continue to be devil's advocate, because I know you have an answer to this, but I want people to be able to hear it as you share this in such a passionate way. What about me not having the emotional capacity to deal with this generation of kids or athletes when they do things that are so contrary to how we grew up? And it's like, what can I do? And I have a wife, I have a daughter, etc. How do you respond to that when there's this emotional drain people seem to have?
So, some people, I get it. Sometimes you're at work and you checked out. Then perhaps you may need another role. Maybe you need a role where you just go out and find partnerships. You don't deal with the day-to-day. You say, here's what I can do, and I'm comfortable doing that. And let somebody else do the grunt work, the groundwork. Let somebody else be a gatekeeper.
Sure.
We need you to do something else, because we need everybody, from the janitor to the CEO. Anybody that's touching kids can make an impact.
Right.
If you want to.
So that's removing the ego.
Yeah.
It seems, to do that.
Remove the ego, man. Understand that all kids can learn. I may learn different than you. You may learn faster than me. How about change the curriculum? Make it more appetizing. Make school fun.
Right.
Give me some VOTEC. Give me some culinary arts. Give me some machinery. Give me something that interests me.
Right.
You can no longer teach the way we taught 30, 40 years ago. It's a different kid.
Well, back in my day, that's what they say. That's not going to be it.
No, that ain't it. Change that curriculum. Make things passion-based curriculum. Find what is are you like broadcasting? You want to talk about sports psychology? Let's dig deeper. Let's bring some people in there who doing what you do.
Instead of saying this is what you should do, find out what it is at.
Find out what you love.
That's great. I know your background. Where are you at right now? Where can people find you? What website can they connect to send resources?
I'm at River Rule School District. I'm the Director of Corporate and Community Affairs, and my single job is to alleviate all non-academic barriers to education. But I also have my nonprofit, which is the Tarence Wheeler Foundation. And once again, what we're doing is meeting the needs of young people, man. Each and every day. How do I help you? Poverty has no zip code. So I don't care what school a kid goes to. If I can help you, I'm going to help you.
That's great. As I wrap up with guys, and we'll have to have another segment, just you and I, to talk deep about these issues. If you look into the camera, what can you tell Derrick Coleman right now when he looks at this?
Man, big fella, man, we done traveled this world together, man. We won a national championship, 19 under AAU, and if social media was available then, you probably wouldn't have been at Syracuse, and I probably wouldn't have been at Arizona State. But thank God that wasn't the case. I love you, man. You the brother I never had, man. You my wicked lefty. And I'm just glad to be associated with you, brother.
That's great. Tarence Wheeler, I appreciate you so much for all you do. A man on fire. And shout out to happy birthday to Derrick Coleman. We see you.